Well, here we are again. It's time to make supper. And we're gonna get our book. And tonight we're gonna make it from the Argus Searchlight Cookbook. And this recipe tonight is coming from a Miss Edith Hopping from Astoria, Illinois. And these are called potato burgers. They're not served on a bun now, they're served on a plate. So we'll see. I don't think I've ever made a burger with the potatoes in it. So let's see. It doesn't seem to take that long. Got all our ingredients ready. We did have to improvise a few because finding some stuff is a little harder right now. So we did a little bit of improvising, and I'll tell you what we did for that. And we're gonna get ready and we're gonna go ahead and start mixing it right up because everybody's hungry and wants to eat. Okay, so we're gonna start right here, but the first thing we do, got our hair pulled back, apron on, we'll wash. Guys, we're gonna be sticking our hands in the food, and with everything that's going on, we'll go ahead, I'm gonna try, there was no size on these gloves, so I'm gonna try to put some gloves on while my husband films the refrigerator. Okay, just for safety. Our hands are clean.
Dig those slippers.
Yeah, they know. Hey, if you're gonna cook and you're gonna be stuck in a house and you're quarantined, you might as well be comfy. These are nice size. Finally, gloves that fit. Okay.
Chris Logman, amateur proctologist.
Yeah, no. All right, so the first thing it says is we need to combine our ground beef, our potato, our onion, our egg, our green pepper, and seasonings. Okay, so we're gonna start there. Is our ground beef. 3/4 of a pound of ground beef, and we're gonna put it in our bowl. Put that out here. The next thing we need is 3/4 of a cup of ground raw potato. Okay, I use the grater and I use this really fine grate side to do it because I don't have a food processor that I can actually grind the potato up. It was really easy though, just as easy as that. And then if you have an extra potato tomorrow morning, you can make some hash browns for breakfast. So I just use that, and this is what I got. So it looks like it's fine enough to use, and it changes color because it's been in the air. Okay, so this is a 1/4 cup. So here's 1, 2, 3. Looks like hair. We're gonna put the extra over here. Like I said, tomorrow if you have extra potato that you peel, you can make some hash browns in the morning. Piece of cake. All right, the next thing it needs is the onion. It also calls for ground onion. You can, if you have a food processor, grind your onion, put it in there and grind it up. Again, I don't have a food processor that'll do that. So here's what I did. My mother used to do this when we were growing up in the winter time so that we could have onion and things. We would just buy this, and you might even have some in your cabinet somewhere. Dried minced onion, okay? And all I did was put some in the container, put some water on it, put it in the refrigerator, and then you always have onion when you want it. And it works. It's just minced up really fine onion, and you can smell the onion. And the onion calls for 1/4 of a cup. Water out. Let's get 1/4 of a cup of onion. This is great because you can use it in almost anything. We used to put it in chicken salad, tuna salad, anything like that. Okay, there's our onion. And then it asks for 1 beaten egg. is a product it calls for that comes next, and I looked all over. I went to several different stores. They do make it. I just can't find it. I can't buy it. It's green pepper. Like this. It's green. I couldn't find it. So if you can find it, it calls for 2 tablespoons of that pepper. Okay. I'm gonna improvise. I had some peppers that I had cut up into the fridge in diced form. I just cut them a little smaller. They're just red, green, and orange peppers that I cut really small, just for flavor. Okay. Then the next thing is the salt and the pepper. It calls for 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm not good at just grabbing and saying, sure, that's a teaspoon. I'm either going to undersalt it or oversalt it. So there's your teaspoon of salt. And then it calls for only 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. Which I wish I had a little slot in this thing. I'm making a mess. All right, I like a little extra pepper. Okay, now we have our pepper in there, our salt. Then it says we are going to blend this all well. Again, this is why I put the gloves on. You don't like getting your hands all dirty. It almost looks like we're making meatloaf. Could be fun to make with the kids, mix it up.
Food fight.
Yeah, no food fights.
Yeah,
Just
'cause
mush.
it sticks to the wall really good when it's mixed that way.
Well, there's no breadcrumbs in here, so it's not, but I'm going to assume that's what the potatoes are for. And the potatoes were raw, not cooked at all. I just rinsed them with some water. All right, then it says once it's mixed, and then I have to form it into patties. I guess it depends on how big the patties you want. It says it's going to make 8. So I'm going to take this off of here, and on my peppered cutting board, paper towels there, I'll put it in the crack. My peppered cutting board, I'm going to make some balls and see how many we can get out of this. According to the recipe, it should have made 8. And it says we are going to coat these in flour, and then we're going to go and cook them and brown them on each side, and then we're going to end up sauteing them, letting them sit for about 25 minutes, or simmer, sorry, not saute. Okay, so first we need to put our butter in our pan. Take it out of the butter. Put our butter in our pan over here now. A nice big pan because all of the burgers have to go in together. So we're going to put our butter in there, and we're going to have a splatter shield. It is ground beef. So we get our butter in our pan. We're going to turn our pan on, not too high, but high enough so that we can brown. We're going to end up browning those burgers on each side. In the 3 tablespoons of butter, I have a splatter shield. It is ground beef. It will splatter. Now we're going to get, while that's melting, we're going to get a 1/4 cup of flour. We're going to put it on our little plate here. I'm sure if we need more flour, we can get it. It's just flour. There's nothing else in it, just flour. Okay, and we're going to take this over because we're going to be putting this right into the pan over here. So we want to bring our food over closer to the pan, to our frying pan. Okay, our butter's almost melted. So we're going to take one of our patties. Not quite ready yet, the butter's almost melted. Dip it in the flour. See that? Just some flour on both sides of it. That's all it is, just flour. I'll let that melt a little bit more. My husband's resetting the refrigerator.
Butter.
Yeah, melted nicely. It is butter, so you want to watch. You don't turn the heat up too high; you'll burn the butter. Okay, so we have one burger. So now we're going to get this out of the way so it's not a fire hazard. Alright, so it says to brown them, so we're going to let them sit for a minute on one side. Probably not very long because, like I said, we're not cooking them all the way through. All we're doing is getting them brown. Better remember where you started. Be a little bit browner than that, so we can go a little bit longer. You're going to be a little bit darker than that on the outside. We do have one more ingredient to put on them, and it's the sauce that it's going to sit for 25 minutes in, and all it is, grab that. Tomato juice. It calls for 8 ounce, a cup of tomato juice. Of course, this is a little more than a cup, but we'll see. You can measure a cup and see how much is left in the can. I like this size better for cooking and stuff because then you only have to open this rather than those. We used to have the big cans. Really, truly, I didn't see too many of the big cans at the grocery store. Okay. Get that one got a little bit. Okay, that's 2. Alright, that one got nice and brown. Alright, so we're going to give them a couple seconds on here, so while this is still going, we'll put this back on top to make sure we don't get splattered. We're going to go ahead and measure out our tomato juice. It doesn't say to add anything to this tomato juice. I'm not sure if you can use V8. This is just straight tomato juice. I'm sure back away somebody probably used ketchup instead. One. I have no idea why that's opening like that. This is only a little tiny bit in there. We may use it. Okay. Alright, let me see if this is brown on the other side. A little bit longer. That one needed to go back on the other side. Like that. Just another minute, just to make sure, because we're going to put the liquid, otherwise we're just going to have scrambled ground beef in it. And I was trying to figure out how to serve it. I haven't tasted it yet, so I can't tell what you might want to serve it with. It's got potatoes in it, just a vegetable, a salad. on the side. It will be served with the leftover juice over the top of it. Maybe you could put it on top of the noodles. Kids might like it if it was served on top of mac and cheese. Anything like that. That would be my suggestion, but I haven't tasted it, so I'm not quite sure how it, what the flavoring is going to be. All right, I think that's going to be brown now. Yeah, perfect. Yep. Sliding around, they're not falling apart. So now we're going to turn the heat down because we're going to let it sit and simmer. All right. Okay, and now we're going to add our tomato juice. And I'm going to go ahead and pour what was left in that can in here. It's not really that much, you see? See? Nothing. Okay. Now it says to let it simmer for 25 minutes. So I'm going to set the timer. And we'll be back in 25 minutes and we'll see what we got. I'm going to cover this while it's making all this.
Okie dokie.
We'll be back. Off while we were waiting for these to cook, which you can see there's no sauce left. It's supposed to be sauce left. So my suggestion is either more tomato juice, yeah, just more tomato juice, maybe another can of tomato juice on there. While we were waiting for these to go, I put some corn on for a side and put some little biscuits in the oven, just some little ones, just to have on the side. Okay, we are, according to this, these are done. This is all you have to do. Eat and serve. I've turned the burner off on this, so. Okay. Turn this one off, because basically that one's done. And it says to just plate. It says to put the extra juice on top.
Yeah, there isn't any.
There's no extra juice.
No, there's a little bit.
Yeah. Let me get you some here. Alright, we got a little juice on there. And we're going to taste this one before we plate everything else up. Because this is our main ingredient. And when I took my break, I just washed my hands again before we started up again. So here we are, let's cut it open. I'm gonna cut this one in half so we can see the inside. It's done.
Oh yeah.
Very done. No pink. It comes apart like meatloaf. Looks like meatloaf too.
You could put it on a bun.
This you could put on a bun. If there was more sauce, I would say no. Hot. It's not bad. I think I would cut the salt down a little bit. I'm tasting salt. It's my husband, he can use the fork. Blow on it, it's hot. It'll be hot when you chew it. What do you think?
Tastes like meatloaf.
Yep, he thinks it tastes like meatloaf.
Oh, it's good.
But there's no bacon. Yes, I think it's very tasty. It's really good.
Yeah, it needs bacon.
Everything needs bacon.
Betcha.
Okay, I would suggest this is fine. This is good like this. I think if the sauce boils away like this one did, then you could probably put this on a bun. Maybe you can put a piece of cheese on top like a regular burger. I don't know that I've treated, pickles and all that stuff. That'd be your decision. But yeah, it's really tasty. It's got a lot of flavor.
You don't even need any ketchup or anything on it.
No,
it's pretty good.
Actually baked in ketchup.
Yeah.
I also think that you could probably, if you didn't have the tomato juice, you could probably use ketchup, and you could probably add a little bit of water because the ketchup is going to be a little thick.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I can't think of anything else to change on it. It's fairly good. Maybe even top it with some onion. It has onion in it, but I like a lot of onion.
Yep.
It's really good. And if I can make it, so can you. Enjoy.
And cut. Beautiful, darling. Beautiful.